Here is the first question. How to deal with the feeling of odds and being left out from the family because of different religions and beliefs?
So you need to understand the meaning of religion first. And religion, it's a refuge for all the beings of this world, something that they can rely upon. It teaches them to do good things, to abandon evil and unskillfulness, to be creating merit. And so this is the foundation, the main foundation of religion. And so even though we may suppose different names of different religions, but if we look at them in terms of their goodness, then they teach us to not harm one another, to be selfless in our giving towards one another, to have kindness and compassion for one another, and to not act in ways which make a bad situation worse, and to not argue with each other. So in the families, religion teaches us to be good, to have kindness, respect, gratitude for each other, and especially for those who have goodness for us in our lives. And so children towards adults, and for the adults to have kindness for the children, and to get along with one another. So perhaps the traditions and the rituals of religions may differ, but the feeling in the heart is the same. And the Buddha, this awakening, is the same. It's not different, it's not separate. So you should understand the meaning of this, and how all beings, no matter who they are, if they cling, then they will suffer. If they're able to release that, then they will feel happy. That if we harm one another, that no matter who does that harm, they will feel suffering. So we need to then have this basis of the precepts, of the 5 precepts, and not fight with one another. In Buddhism, it teaches us to have kindness towards one another, to be able to get along and work together. Because if we attach and cling that I am better than others, then that's conceit. So we shouldn't argue. But whatever religion it is that someone follows and has respect for, then we allow them to do that, and we don't give difficulties to anyone. So there was a time when I was at Nombapong, Venerable Ajahn Chah's monastery, and there were some people who were ordained in another religion who came to the monastery because they had this interest in wanting to listen to the Dhamma, listen to Ajahn Chah give a Dhamma talk. And so they had faith in this way, and they were nuns ordained to the Christian religion. And so they were asked to take off their hats first, because with the Vinaya, the monastic rules, that a monk shouldn't teach Dhamma to someone who is wearing their shoes and wearing a hat. And so they listened to that and they followed. And on the first day, their hearts received the Dhamma, that they had even greater respect, and they lifted up their hands in Anjali and rejoiced and thanked Ajahn Chah. On the second day, they listened to his Dhamma, they bowed to him afterwards. And on the third day, that there were tears flowing down their cheeks, because they really felt that Dhamma profoundly in their hearts. And Ajahn Chah taught that they're not separate. These religions, whether it's Buddhism, other religions, that we have respect for and we follow. That we take that as, that we respect the highest. But he said, when you look at them, then it's the same Buddha. It's the same nature of awakening. It's the same emptiness. That really there isn't any of these names there in truth. We say it's this religion and that religion, and that there's Buddhism, other religions. But Buddhism is Buddha. It's pure emptiness. It's not self. So they listened to this Dhamma and they felt it very profoundly in their hearts, seeing how these religions aren't different. But in the beginning, one may think that I'm this religion, I'm that religion. But when we look at it on a deeper level, and we're able to really meditate, then what's that like? Well, the peace that we feel is the same. And even more if we can contemplate into not self, and we see how it's the same. So there was a priest who came, I think from France, and he came to study at Wat Nambapong. And he was taught to develop, cultivate mindfulness and samadhi, to develop meditation. And he put that into practice. And he was able to do that, to gain peace. And then when he went back, he carried on practicing that. So if we're able to get our hearts into a state of peace, we see how it's the same. You know, this abandoning of unskillful states, giving rise to skillful states is the same. And if we're able to contemplate and see how all physicality and mentality, it's not sure, it's unstable, then no matter who we are, we see the Dhamma just the same. It's not separate, it's not different. These names are just external names. But we should put those teachings into practice. And an important foundation of those teachings is that we don't cause harm to one another.
Recently, I have been experiencing a lot of itchiness in certain parts of the body. Is this due to an imbalance in the wind elements? I am able, during meditation or Chittanupassana, to remain patient and not indulge the itching, although sometimes it's very difficult as the itching gets very intense. Meditation, when mindfulness is much weaker, I am unable to have as much patience and indulge in itching. Please, can you advise me? I have tried many remedies, but to no avail as yet. With gratitude and respect to Ajahn Anan and the Sangha and volunteers.
So it's probable that this, so it's an imbalance of all of the elements in the body, not just the wind element. And maybe there's also an allergy that you have. Maybe there's a kind of autoimmune disorder as well. So you can try seeking out some help in terms of modern science or seeking a doctor. But maybe you've tried many different ways of curing it already and it's not working. So sometimes it's a matter of karma. But whatever the case, may you meet with a doctor and some medicine that's able to help you. And sometimes the karma can be relieved. And so may you carry on with your efforts when you're sitting in meditation and you have good mindfulness, then you're able to endure with that. But when you come out of samadhi, then it's normal that sometimes with the body being in pain like this, being itchy, that not able to endure with that, there's this feeling, these painful feelings coming up. But you should still try at least to scratch very little. It's normal that you may just forget and to scratch, but try to do it little and to do it just lightly. And so there was someone who I had met who had this skin disease all over their body, and it was in really quite an extreme state. The whole body was itchy and there was pus leaking out as well. And they, to relieve that, they would lie down in salty water. But they still had this forbearance to not scratch, even though the pain was so strong. There was really a lot of forbearance that this person had. They found a way of making it better, but it turned out there was an allergy to certain kinds of food, like bread, and there was occasionally would have accidentally eat some of the food that caused this allergy, and then would have to kind of get this reaction again. But this person had great endurance. They would lie in this salty water, and it would be really quite torturous. But he endured with that, was able to endure with that, and the whole body was red. So it's probable that you're not experiencing something to that degree. But you should try to use these feelings that you're experiencing, make use of them. So to use your mindfulness there, to focus on them. When you're out of a state of samadhi, still try to separate the mind from these feelings and get it to a point where you're able to do that. And use that to cultivate your mind. And when if it's feeling itchy, then you tell yourself that this isn't me. You see how it arises and ceases, arises and ceases. So establish your mindfulness and try to use that to kind of focus on this and be aware of it and put up a good fight. You can also try using salty water and seeing whether that will help to relieve it. Then try seeking out someone who is skilled and knowledgeable with this condition as well.
Dear Ajahn Anan, thank you, along with the Sangha, for making this retreat possible. My question is, can you please remind us of the definitions of sati, mindfulness, and sampajanya, clear awareness, and explain the difference between them? In addition, how to bring them together in our meditation practice? Thank you.
So this word sati, what that means is its ability to recollect. And sampajanya, it's a clear or a thorough awareness. So for example, if we're lifting up a glass, then as we're lifting, then that's like recollection. And when we know that we're lifting, then that is sampajanya. And so with our breath, that we can recollect that breath. But then knowing the breath and fully, being aware of it fully, that is sampajanya. And so there's this mindfulness, this knowing that my mindfulness is here, and that it's not elsewhere, it's here in the present moment. Or if we're recollecting something about the past that has already happened, and we have a mindfulness recollecting that, and then when we know that that's what we're recollecting, that right now I'm recollecting something in the past, that is sampajanya. Or something in the future, that we bring that up as an object of recollection. And so, for example, that this conditioned body needs to get old, get sick and die, or that maybe for a student that they have a test coming up, or that we have some work coming up. And so knowing that right now I am recollecting this object in the future, that is this sampajanya, so this clear awareness. So we have that training to know what's happening in the present moment. So whether our mindfulness is recollecting something in the past, in the present, in the future, and we still have mindfulness there, and we still have this knowing of where our mindfulness is. And when we have these two qualities of mindfulness and clear awareness, then we're able to solve anything that may come up. So like this person who asked the last question about an itchiness arising. And so when the eye sees forms, when the ear hears sounds, when the nose contacts odors, when the tongue contacts taste, when there's touch with the body or Dhamma aramanas in the mind. And so if there's this itchiness, then we know that there's an itchiness. And so that is this mindfulness, knowing what's happening in the present moment. Then we also have this awareness of that as well, that right now it's itchy like this. That right now there is this sensory experience which is conditioning the mind. That right now I'm not able to take this anymore, that my forbearance is not enough. And so that is all this awareness, this clear awareness, sampajanya. And so if we really have those qualities, then we're able to forbear with things. But if our mindfulness is lacking, then we're not able to endure. Not able to endure with these kind of feelings which are coming up. So we should then kind of train our mindfulness to be firm, whether we're standing, walking, sitting, lying down, to be mindful. That if we're walking, then we have mindfulness of that. And there's also a clear awareness that right now I'm walking, and that is sampajanya. Or if we're going to sit, then we have that recollection of, okay, I'm going to sit now. And then there's that knowing of the sitting, and that is sampajanya. So we try to connect them up and make them constant, try to train in them a lot, until our mindfulness becomes better and more stable. And then we're able to see that if the body is standing, then, or sitting, or walking, or lying down, then it's merely that. It's merely a body. It's not a being, not an individual, not me, not you. So like this, then wisdom arises. Therefore you should firmly train in this, really be intent in training in this. Be very cautious when we meet with sense contact, and to have mindfulness and clear awareness there. Like when we're working, and to be working with mindfulness and awareness. Because if whatever we do, if we don't have mindfulness there, then we're absent-minded with that activity. We won't be able to do it well. And so we then, as practitioners, need to be very careful around things which reduce our mindfulness. And so like those that take intoxicants, then that brings down our mindfulness and clear awareness. So this is something which practitioners should avoid. So therefore try to be very aware, be very mindful, and set your heart on this.